Welcome back to Dad School Podcast. Um, Hope you're having a good morning. I know we are. Um,
Technical.
Technical difficulties. We are not going live. We're going to record and see if this works because we couldn't get live to work. But yes, welcome to another episode of Dad School Podcast. I'm Josh. This is Jimmy. And today we're going to talk about how to listen to your teen. Uh, Breaking through that teen silent wall that we may or may not be experiencing in our parenting journey at this stage in your life. And if you do not have teens, this episode can still be for you. It's a good reminder of things to keep in mind as you enter into that period of your life with your children when they become a teen and they start growing. Um, like, might ask yourself, what's a teen silent wall? What kind of issues might we encounter? What do you think, Jimmy? You have any off the cuff stories of issues that you encounter, or is your life perfect with your teen right now?
Oh, it's amazing. Well, I mean, like my brief little caveat is going to be kind of, before we had kids, we were married for about 6 years before we had any kids, and we'd be walking through the grocery store or whatever and seeing the other parent with child throwing tantrum, screaming, throwing things, and in the back of your mind, you go, my kids are never going to be like that. And so I almost feel a little bit the same way. Well, and then you get revenged on later after you have kids. That's the the punchline of that story. Then you have kids who
Revenge on.
occasionally throw, yeah, you have kids that throw tantrums. But so we, our oldest is 13 and going to be 14 in just a few weeks. So we're just getting into that realm, and it's going to be tempting to be, oh yeah, well, that's not going to be a problem. That's going to be something that we have, but uh, it absolutely is. Now is the time for us to be aware of it and be thinking through things. There have been, a couple of times where, she might want to be up in her room on her own, and she's trying to sort through her thoughts or her feelings of whatever is going on, and or just busy. There's just the busyness of so many things on the calendar, and then we're just not in the same room. We're not near each other because there's just so many things going on. So sometimes silence isn't even a wall of a decision from frustration or anger or sadness or something like that. It's just we're just never in the same room. And how do we get through that one too?
Yeah, and I've noticed as my kids collectively have gotten older, um, I'm less of their go-to for every single moment of their life, like I used to be. I have twin. Shoot, how old are they now? 12. I think they're 12 now. Yeah, let's go with 12. 12-year-old girls. So like next year they're gonna be entering the teen realm. And I have a 14-year-old son, and I have a younger 6-year-old right now. But I've noticed over the years, leading up to my son being a teen now, that he's increasingly been more self-sufficient. He, does all of his he can do his dishes. Not that he does. He does it better than most. My girls are the same way. Like they're able to do more things without me having to be there. So here's the thing: you come in the door. They have headphones on. They're in their own little world doing things. They're not rushing to you like they used to. And as dads, that changes a little bit for us. We had to we had that joy initially of everyone rushing to us, or maybe they didn't, and that's what you wish you had. But um, now they don't. So it's a shift for us as dads to live through as well. Um, Now, what's going on in the teen's life, like to make this happen? Right, they're getting older, like Jimmy said. They're going through changes, getting their independence. They're figuring out who they are, what they like to do, and oftentimes it might not be like they try what dad likes, and they like, oh, that's maybe not for me. And as a dad, that could hurt not to have that buddy next to you interested in everything you're interested in. You take it as rejection because you feel like they don't want to be around you anymore. And that's, I guess we're here to tell you that that is a form of rejection, yes, but it doesn't have to be how it seems. Like, your kids aren't rejecting you, they're not walking away from you, um, unless they're physically saying, "I'm walking away from you and leaving," then that's a different conversation. But in general terms, them wanting to do their own thing doesn't necessarily mean that you've lost your kids, right? Um, and our first reaction is to try to, uh, double down on what we were doing before, and, we try harder to fix it, and then we end up pushing them away more because they want to express themselves. They wanna be, figuring out who they are and what they like, and not necessarily they don't want dad hovering there, forcing them to be the same little girl or little boy they used to be. Um,
I mean, I'm just now seeing that tightrope walk. I would kind of call it maybe of I want I want my girls to develop autonomy so that as they become adults, they are capable and able of making competent, wise decisions. But then at the same time, they're kids in my mind, and to a large extent, they still are. And so sometimes their choice making abilities are at a children's level. So I need to kind of step in and maybe uh, uh, help redirect, but finding that balance of, okay, you can make this decision yourself, or I need to give more direction here. That's just a fun challenge, still trying to navigate that already.
yeah, and so we're gonna go through a couple different tips that we've gathered together, um, to maybe help you think about what you can do, and evaluate what you are doing, and add to what you're not, hopefully. So by no means is this an extensive list. This is not the end all see all, but I like to think that this is probably a great, uh, it's a good checklist, a good filter just to high level look at what you're doing. Okay. And some of these things might apply to you, some of them might not. But either way, as a dad, um, parenting your child, I think these are good things just keep in general in your mind. So we'll start with the old listening before you speak, listening before you reply, and listening before leading. Okay, and there's biblical foundation in everything we do, right? And if we're not looking at the Bible, um, with a lot of these things, we're not starting in the right place, in my opinion. So First James 19. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Now, we've all heard this in some way, shape, or form, in some capacity, and we understand that it means you shouldn't just blurt out what you're thinking right away without thinking and try to understanding what that person is trying to communicate to you first. And if you think you know right away and can respond quickly and accurately, maybe this is the reminder you need to slow down still and just pause. Um, because us as dads, we are always in fix it mode, right? We're trying to fix things, fix the problems, whether we're handy or not. It's ingrained in our DNA to be the provider in a situation, to offer an opinion, to fix something or give advice. Um, not be good advice, but it's something that we can't help, and it's important. It's a good skill to slow down a little bit in your responses because it gives you a second to think things through, run a couple filters in your head, and then reply, and not seem like you're responding emotionally every single time.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be fun these next several years, thinking that I've got a game plan and then throwing it all out the window day by day. We just figure it out. But I mean, that's what parenthood, that's what dadhood, that's what it is. Every day is a new curveball thrown your way, and you get to try to knock it out of the park if you can, or at least just get a bunt.
But yeah, can I just get a ball or something?
Yeah.
But so this is one last topic or touch on the listening. I really like this when I was looking up this, researching this topic a little more. you can't lead a heart you haven't listened to. That got me, that kind of struck home a little bit. It's like, if you're not listening to your kid's heart and what's actually bothering them, because we all know our kids hold different important things in their lives compared to what we hold. And if they're going to come to us and they're upset about something, how many times as a dad, Jimmy, have you kind of blown off what was important to your kid in the moment? Because like they're upset because they can't find fill in the blank and they are in tears because they can't find fill in the blank. And you're like, it's not that big a deal. It's just fill in the blank. But to them, that's like their world at this moment. Whether that's the most, whether it should be or not is another topic. But as a dad, we can listen to their heart that they're hurting because of fill in the blank. And we shouldn't discount fill in the blank because of that. We should at least be more empathetic. That could go a long way in any situation. If our kid feels like we care a little bit, other than just the cold, callous, suck it up, buttercup, that sometimes you want to say to them. So I thought that was a pretty cool.
I feel like that one's on repeat in my head.
Yeah. So moving forward, and because people like things in threes, I came up with 3 keys to a thriving teen relationship. Okay, these are a la Josh. Okay, and Jimmy doesn't know what these are yet, so be fun.
Fun.
Okay, key number 1: share a space, not an agenda. Okay, so the idea behind this means you are the parent and they are in your world, but it doesn't mean you have to drag them through yours all the time. You can step into their world and be a part of their world at times. So, Jimmy, what do you feel like you can do in your girls' lives to step into their worlds, to be part of their worlds, and be present? That's the whole idea here. What can you do?
I mean, like, just one example that pops in my head is thinking through the life and the routine for my oldest. And again, every home is going to be different. You got different things going on. But for us, dance class for both of our girls is something that they're both very into, and takes up a good chunk of our time in the evenings when they have class. In the studio that our girls are a part of, once a month, they have what's called Watch Week. And that's where they, out in the hallway, the parents can sit and they open the blinds into each of the dance studios that the kids are practicing. And the parents can sit and observe. I mean, the door's closed, so the parents can't be the softball parent who's yelling in at the coach or something like that. But you're able to just observe and be present. And my daughter, my oldest, she still loves those weeks that I get to go and be out there, be present, and get to observe what she's into. This is what she's doing. She still invites me. She's like, Daddy, I really like you to be there for that. And that's exciting and that's great. And I pray that there's not that day comes where she's like, I don't want you out there. But as I'm sitting there, the number of times I see the parent sitting on the bench next to me and they're just, their heads down and they're just in their phone, the whole time. And I can see, I'm looking in the window, I can see all of the other kids are looking out to is my mom, is my dad, are they watching? Do they see what I'm up to? And so there's that temptation that, I could just be sitting, I could be reading, I could be dual tasking at this moment. But, my daughter has invited me to be present in a moment that's important to her. And I have to actively make that choice. Yes, I'm going to be present at this time. It can be so easy for me to, I've got some errands to run, or I've got some news to read, or a podcast to listen to or something, and completely check out and be physically in the same building. But am I actually present with you in the thing that you invited me to? So, hopefully as she ages older, I keep making wise choices in that. And that's what's kind of front and foremost for me at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I notice that with all my kids as well. At any kind of sporting event, it's important to not be in your phone. Like it's very tempting to do that. Put it in your pocket, leave it alone, because your kids look at the sidelines every now and then, and as hopefully they're not like doing it all the time, so they're getting distracted in the game. It happens, but like they they know you're there, and they're not performing, but they're there liking you watching them do something they enjoy. So you need to make sure that you are attentive. You give them thumbs up. You know, you're not being that disconnected dad. You need to be present, and that's basically all I had for the boys' side as well. I mean, whether no matter what it is, sitting with my son if he wants to watch a movie or if he wants to go someplace, you know, letting him lead the charge, letting him actually um, dictate what we do, you know, and not just me coming in and stomping over everything. Like we're doing this is how we're acting, this is what we're doing. You know, I need to be shoulder to shoulder with him, um, not face to face arguing with him or going head to head with him. You know, I need to come alongside him and let him test the waters leading. And it goes boy girl. Doesn't matter if you have either one. The same thing applies. I noticed it with what you just said with your dance. I noticed it with my girls in volleyball. You know, they do something, they mess up, they look at you. I want to see your response. And usually I'm like, you know, that was terrible. Do better. You know, and that's good. It's positive encouragement, or that's encouragement, I guess, to do better.
Yeah.
But you need to be there and be present and not just be ignoring them. So moving along. Key point number 2 of 3 keys of a thriving teen relationship per Josh. First one was shared space and being present. Second one, so we've talked about this before, Jimmy. The power of an apology and showing your unconditional love. Okay. Now, there's passages all over the Bible with this, right? Ephesians 4:32, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you, right? And I wanted to touch on this quickly because forgiving your kid for things they mess up on might seem kind of odd, but it's important. It's very important for your kids to see you modeling that it's okay to forgive people for things that they mess up. Because if you don't, your kid's going to grow up to be some kind of bitter something that it just never fits in with society and wants to always blame somebody for something and hold grudges. I mean, we see a lot of that in today's society now. And I think it's really because parents have, you know, there's a lot of contributing factors. I'm not going to say this is all the solve all, fix all, but having a parent who makes a mistake or treats the kid improperly or treats somebody or something improperly is not a new concept. But having a parent that apologizes and makes sure their kid sees your actions produce fruit of the spirit after making a mistake, that's what's important here. That's what we're highlighting. So if you lose your temper, if you say the wrong thing, if you're called out, instead of being a bully about it and, you know, just being mean and walking away, make sure you make a show about saying you're sorry. You know, hey, I'm not, no, don't be over the top and corny about it, but you need to make sure that your kid understands it's okay to say sorry. It's okay to ask for forgiveness, and you should do that on a regular basis if you are wrong.
I mean, it's easy. It's super easy for me, and it happens very, very often for me to be, hey, you need to tell your sister you're sorry, and
Yeah,
me commanding apologies from
yeah,
them, but then modeling it myself. And whenever I have a boneheaded moment and I need to apologize, man, that's still hard. And it's annoyingly hard for me to admit whenever I need to step up and say, hey, and like sit down eye to eye, you know, make eye contact and say, hey, you know, I messed up. I made a mistake. I misunderstood. I was in my own little world and not thinking things through, whatever, you know, what's going on. And then saying, hey, you know, I'm sorry. I messed up. Can you forgive me? That turned out to be a much harder thing for me to do as a father than I thought it would be, because I'm supposed to be the authority, you know,
mm,
and then coming and I'm the one asking for an apology or asking for forgiveness, giving an apology. Um,
doesn't that
it's
show
like
weakness, Jimmy?
That's what the thing in the back of my head, like, oh, you're supposed to be the authority, you're supposed to be the one in charge, you're not supposed to
Mhm.
be humbling yourself. I'm like, no, that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, modeling that behavior, because that's what I want to see them naturally desire to do. So I need to work on that natural desire in my own heart, and that's going to have such greater effect than just snap my finger and point and say, hey, go say you're sorry. Like, yeah, it gets the moment done, but is there actually a lesson learned there? Maybe, but
Right. And that as you were saying that, I started thinking of like even an easier way to wrap that up of like if you see if you think of your kids and you think of a trait you want them to have, 10 out of 10 times you have to model that for them. If you want a
mm,
strong, independent kid, you got to model a strong, independent person that can do something without someone holding your hand. If you want your kid, if in a situation, to be humble, they need to see what that looks like. They're not going to know what humility looks like unless you model it for them. If you want to see your
hmm
kid uh, take care of the needy and and be a charitable person, if you've never modeled that in their lives, how are they going to know how to do that? Like, not discounting that they can probably learn from other sources, but you're the primary source of information in their lives. At various points, you are the only source of information in their lives. So if you're not teaching them that, who is, and are they teaching them correctly? There's things to keep in mind. Moving along, key number 3. So first we had, you remember what it was, Jimmy? What was the first point?
uh, man, my brain's already moved on. Listen before you
There
step
we
out
go.
in
See,
front.
see how that
Yeah.
works.
Uh-huh.
So listen, and then the next one was make sure you show apology, unconditional love. Make sure you're showing and modeling different actions to your kids. Third, third and final key point of Josh's 3 keys to a thriving team relationship: brotherhood. Okay, and we talked about this before. Here comes the whole iron sharpens iron mantra again, right? But brotherhood. Um, and there's okay. I'm going to preface this by saying in a plutonic family setting, your largest strength, in my opinion, as a dad, as a cohesive parenting unit, should come from your wife. If you're a father, right? You should lean on each other. You should work together through your problems. You should be um, in the ideal setting. You should be modeling the perfect marriage, if you will. Even though your marriage might not always feel perfect, you should be trying to model that for your children. And that's not saying show them only the good, not the bad. They have to learn how you guys handle as parents strife as well, because someday when they get married in a relationship, they're going to use their parents and how they handle situations and strife together as a model of what they think should happen. So if they grew up with parents who fight all the time, they're going to expect to fight with their future spouse. If they grew up with parents who sat down and talked through problems and were unified in their approach in life, they're going to expect that from their partner as well. Um, that's kind of slightly off the topic of this key point, but it's very important that I stress that this is not replacing that relationship. But in a father's life, brotherhood is very important, and that is a emotional connection to another male who has like-minded values as you. That's how I want to define this. It's not going to help me, my kids, or my family in general if I connect with somebody all the time who is a piece of garbage in society's eyes. Not saying that society's eyes is always correct. I should probably back that up. Piece of garbage in biblical eyes, right? I don't care about society. I care about if they're a biblically founded worldview person. Okay, if they believe in sound doctrine, if they believe in good morals, if they believe in the right things. We don't want our kids and our family influenced by the wrong people. And what you can do as a father is surround yourself with people who are the right people. And when you have these people alongside you, like my person, I have several people in my life. You don't want just one because what if they're wrong too? But You want more than one sound biblical strong men in your life that you are able to go to and bounce ideas off of, come alongside, help them, they help you, keep each other in check, and make sure that your brotherly tank is full, so you can keep on pouring out good, um, good manly men stuff to your kids. I don't know how else to say that. You need to have people in your life to help back you up with how you should be acting as a dad, calling you out if you're doing the wrong things, come alongside you with grace and humility. And we all know that guys like to bust each other's chops, and that's great. But make sure that they are the right kind of people to surround you in your life. Jimmy,
I mean,
more refining thoughts on this.
yeah, the simple fact is I don't have every answer. You don't have every answer of anything that's going on in life. So when you don't have an answer, what do? You go try to find an answer. Make sure that, or do the best you can, that your source of wisdom or knowledge or advice that you are going to is something that's actually going to be uplifting and create solutions and not exacerbate the problem even further.
Right.
And that's why having that discernment of, okay, these are the guys I've got in my corner. These are my brothers. Because hard times come and go in life. It can happen with your kids. It can happen with your spouse. It can happen with your job. And who you surround yourself with plays a large sized role in how you end up responding, how you end up getting through, persevering or not, is who you've got in your corner. And so if you take stock of, okay, these are the guys that just think about who are the 3 guys I spend the most time talking with, whether it's just through simple texts or we're on the phone or we see each other at work and we're hanging out. Who are your biggest influences in your life? What other men are providing the greatest influence on your life? And then think about, like, do I need to make an adjustment? Or is there something there that I've not really realized before and I can lean into it more? There's more I can learn from this person. So I'm going to lean in even harder and like, hey, you could really help me out in this, and reach out more often with questions. But that only works if you take the time and the effort to have an honest assessment of those connections, those relationships.
Right. And you should, and this is not discounting the fact that we should help people. Okay. I'm not saying we should just cut everyone from our lives who do we not think are up. It's a big judgment call here, right? You're judging people for their values, but you're evaluating who they are, how they act. If they're not somebody who you value their way they do things, like, in my opinion, you should find people who you hold value in what they do. You hold value in how they raise their kids. If they are a strong biblical leader in your community or in your life, you should want to put yourself next to people who you will better you. Right. And I'm not discounting the fact that we should help people as well. And I'm not saying we should look down on people and then have a caste system of highs and lows people. And I'm just saying, keep that in mind when you're evaluating your friends. And do are these characteristics by this person something I want my kids to see and model and be around? That's a big thing. Like, I know people who might be the fun people, but then you're like, they are not how I want my kids to act. So if that's how you
Yeah.
think, like, you don't want them or their kids to influence your kids, that's not the right person for this role. Okay. So anyways, beating that dead horse enough. I think it's important to have a men's group at your church, friends that you can go out and blow steam off with respectfully and not get in trouble. That's another big thing. Don't go out with people who are going to get you in trouble. That's not very smart. But you need to keep grounded, and you need a strong circle of guys to help you out. Moving along, Jimmy. Okay. What about the old school legacy mindset here? Okay. You understand what I'm saying about the old school mindset?
I don't. No.
You don't. Okay. So,
What what's your definition of old school legacy mindset?
old school legacy mindset. Let's let's just say the old school legacy mindset would be whenever you, as a parent, think that your kid should just snap to and obey you immediately, no matter what. Okay, no matter what's going on, even if they're frustrated, they should just be like, whatever. And you know what? I'm gonna call myself out here. I'm guilty of this last night. Now, I still feel like I'm justified in this situation. What happened last night? We're dealing with a little bit of back talk in our house lately. You know, we asked the kids to do something, and it's like they feel like they have a platform where they can explain to us why they probably shouldn't do this that we just asked them to do, or why they disagree with it. And my legacy mindset that I need to get past is the straight up, what did I just hear you say? You should just say yes, sir. You should say yes, dad, or yes, mom. That's another thing that bugs me. When they're trying to explain to their mom why they need 5 more minutes instead of getting up and doing vacuuming right now. You know, they're like, oh, I just need to do this really fast, and then I'll do this. You know, it's like, your mom told you to do this. I listened to her 3 times already. Get off your butts and do this. You know, that's in my mind. And some people out there are probably like, that sounds like good parenting. You know, have your kids follow your instructions. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of humble pie on that one and bring this into the fold. What if, as parents, and there's nothing wrong with our kids supposing being followers of what we say. I fully support that, and they should. But let's look at this from a couple angles. What if when your kid is frustrated with something, and instead of just putting their nose to the grindstone and being harsh with them, maybe you take a step back and you try to figure out why they're frustrated on something, right? So that's what I mean by legacy mindset. Legacy mindset of, hey, you should just follow immediately, no matter what. Okay, so they're becoming teens now. That's the whole topic of this story. And if you have like 6-year-olds, ignore this because your kids should listen to you. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. But we're getting to the age now. I'd say 11, 12, 13. Starting times. If you're already in the teens, you know this because you felt this, right? And this might be an aha moment for you. But you need to. They're becoming young adults. They're getting there. They'll be able to reason more. They think they have a reason why they should do something. You need to hear it. Okay, you need to prepare yourself as a parent to be able to communicate back and forth with them and not be a one-sided wall. So, examples being, you know, your kid's frustrated, something you can ask. Hey, you seem frustrated. Calling it out, not in a mean way, like somebody's frustrated. I'm guilty of that one, right? Someone's grouchy today, and they're like, "Stop!" And then you're just making it worse, right? And I know that I antagonize on purpose because that's who I am. I can't help it. But you seem frustrated. What's going on in your mind, in your world, or fill in the blank? What's going on right now? And actually care. Take a second to understand it. Okay. Or when they do tell you something, hey, that sounds pretty rough. I'm sorry you're going through that. What do you think your next steps are? Let them try to solve their problems. It gives them the control. It has them feel like you're not dictating to them, which is the point here. And then if you don't understand what they're saying, tell them that, but not in like, I'm just not getting it. I don't understand you. You gotta be like, hey, I don't understand you're going through. I can't understand blank. Can you teach me how this goes? Can you teach me what's going on? I want to learn. I want to understand. And you need to have that mindset more and more as your kids get older, because you can't have a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old who is not heard by their parents. Their parents can at that point in their lives, they should understand how to respond to their parents. They should understand how the society works in your household. Now, I'm not saying that some families don't have problems with that, but there are many other issues at play other than just simply your kids not wanting to listen to you and respond to you correctly. And a lot of times it starts with you and how you're responding to them and how you're acting. Thoughts, Jimmy?
I mean, kind of the way I think through some of that is almost like the old idea of apprenticeships. kind of in the trades, and like an electrician, if they're getting trained in a young person, they become an apprentice to become an electrician. They need to have those lessons taught to them of, this is the safe and the proper way of how to do this, and here's why. And the why is just as important as the actual skill. Like, the knowledge that's behind it is going to be just as important, because the stuff you're working with, the solution you're trying to find, could be a dangerous or scary situation. It can be the same thing as a parent, and you're working with your kid, that their new skills of logic and reasoning, like you're kind of pointing out, like they're now able to have those kinds of more complex thoughts and form arguments and all of that. Like, those could be strong and powerful things, but if they don't learn how to safely wield that, then they could be putting themselves in a super dangerous situation. I mean, you get your young electrician apprentice, like, well, this is why we don't lick the wires, because it could be a very unfortunate scenario. It's the same thing. You got to work it with your teen. Like, they are wanting to deal with their scenarios, their situations in life themselves, but their first impulse might be, well, I'm just gonna reach out and grab this wire and see what happens. Well, no, let's help you think through that first. Let's look at where does that wire go? What's the root of what's happening here? Is there a box so we can shut the power off and then deal with it? Like, let's cool the situation down, and then we can deal with it more safely. So I try to think through it almost kind of like raising my teens. They're kind of like my apprentices. They are learning a new skill, a new trade in life. And I need to help them not only understand the skill of what to do in situation, but the knowledge and understanding of, okay, let's look behind the scenes. Let's pull the curtain back and let's think about what's the why of why I need to look at it a certain way. And then hopefully I set them up for success in the future.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're not raising that's another way to look at this. You're not raising cookie cutters of yourself. You're not raising minions that are following you. You're raising disciples and future adults who are supposed to make wise choices. Because you modeled how to act, they are their own people and can act their own way. You're not controlling them, but you're trying to guide them in the right direction. And it's a learning process for them. It's not a follow and do this and repeat after me process. Like, they're not becoming robots. They're their own people who will make their own good and bad choices that you have to be there to guide them through. All right, so I think we've covered a lot today. Talked about being quick to listen, not immediately responding back with first thing in your mind. Take a second. We talked about stepping into their world, being present. That's like an overarching theme always. As a dad, you should always be present. Don't walk away. Don't be distracted. Be there. We talked about modeling how you should act as a dad, how your daughter or son sees you treat people, how you are surrounding, how you act, and then that leads into who you're surrounding yourself with and how they act, and how you interact with those people and how they strengthen you, how you draw from influential people in your life to be better and pass them along to your kids. And then finally, we talked about coming alongside your kid and drawing their heart out and being listening to them and trying to reason with them, trying to treat them as the young adult they're going to become when they're through this confusing teen stage. You're helping them get through there, but you're showing them that you're adding value to their intelligence, and you value their input as well. That's going to go a long way in the future. So, Jimmy, what kind of dad challenge we have this week for people?
We want you to think through who you got in your corner to help sharpen you. What are the opportunities that you have in your life, whether you have teens now or you have teens in the future? What are your scenarios and situations you've established or working on establishing in your home to keep those barriers from coming up? But then when the barriers do come, what's your response? What's your go-to? How to work through that scenario? Think about that.
All right. So basically, thinking through how everything we just talked about, we want you to apply it this week. And if you liked what you heard today, even if you know what, I challenge you, if you didn't like anything we said, tell us. dadschoolpodcast.com. Drop us a message on that contact form. Tell us what you didn't like about the show. What did you not agree with? Or what did you agree with? If this helped you with something, what was it? Let us know. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, we're everywhere, actually. Instagram, X. Reach out to us. Let us know what you thought of the show, and like, subscribe, pass it around. Jimmy, final thoughts.
Plug in, be active,
Be present.
be present.
All right. Take care. See you next time.
See ya.